Tired of the same old tourist traps? Long lines, plastic souvenirs, and overpriced street food that's made for Instagram, not for culture. What if I told you there's a place where you could truly connect with people, nature, and heritage and still be a responsible traveler? Hi, this is Nomadic Wonderland, and welcome to Vietnam, a country that offers more than just beautiful backdrops. It offers a way to travel with meaning. In the heart of Southeast Asia, Vietnam is rapidly becoming one of the world's most talked about destinations, not just for its landscapes, or food, or affordability, but because it's redefining what it means to be a conscious traveler. This is not just a journey through space. It's a journey through a movement, the rise of sustainable tourism. The truth is, travel isn't always kind. In popular tourist cities, over-tourism has led to noise, waste, displacement, and even cultural erosion. Vietnam has felt this too, especially in recent years as millions have flocked here seeking adventure on a budget, but the country is fighting back with a powerful, grassroots movement, one that's transforming how travelers experience this land and how locals share it. From the lush mountains of the north to the tropical deltas in the south, Vietnam is embracing a new way of welcoming visitors by protecting its environment, honoring its people, and inviting you into a more meaningful exchange. When tourists come and stay with us, we don't just give them a room. We show them how we live. We learn from each other. In this vlog series, we'll explore it all, from bamboo homestays in the hills to city cafes that don't serve a single plastic straw, from cooking with locals to learning how responsible travel can actually heal what mass tourism has hurt. But before we dive into those stories, let's ask the bigger question. Sustainable tourism is more than just an eco-hotel or saying no to plastic bottles. It's about balance. Balancing the needs of travelers with the needs of local communities, balancing short-term experiences with long-term impact. It's about preserving the magic of a place so future generations can experience it too. When we travel sustainably, we make sure our journey doesn't come at someone else's cost, not the environment, not the culture, not the people. And Vietnam, surprisingly, or maybe unsurprisingly, is becoming a pioneer in this movement. Why? Because the people here understand the power of land. They've seen how fragile beauty can be, and they've decided to take control of their own narrative. What we'll discover in this journey isn't just a more ethical way to travel, it's a deeper, richer way to connect. For me, this trip to Vietnam isn't just another destination on a map, it's an invitation to listen, to learn, and to let travel mean more. So if you're ready to explore the rise of sustainable tourism in Vietnam, let's begin. Vietnam isn't just a country you visit, it's a country you feel through your skin, your breath, your bones, the wind in the highlands, the heat of the delta, the scent of lemongrass and rain on red soil, and it all begins with its landscapes, a tapestry so rich, diverse, and ancient that it feels alive. But these places aren't just photogenic backdrops, they're part of a larger story, one that sustainable tourism is trying to protect. Welcome to Sapa, in the far north of Vietnam, a land of mist, myth, and mountains that rise like waves frozen in time. These rice terraces, carved into the hills by ethnic communities over centuries, are more than agricultural marvels. They are sacred landscapes, living systems of water, labor, and tradition passed down from one generation to the next. Here, tourism was once harmful, unregulated treks, selfie seekers trampling crops, and large resorts disrupting the view. Now, many travelers come to stay in our homes. They walk with us. They eat with us. They respect the land. Through community-based tourism programs, travelers now support village economies directly, learning about daily life, not just snapping pictures of it. The Ha Giang Loop is Vietnam's last wild frontier, and maybe its most breathtaking. While parts of Vietnam have become crowded, Ha Giang offers a slower, more respectful experience, with travelers asked to follow ethical guidelines, book with licensed guides, and support minority-owned homestays. Here, nature feels untouched. But it won't stay that way unless tourism is kept in balance with conservation. And then, there's Ha Long Bay, the jewel of northern Vietnam. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, over 1,600 limestone islands rising out of emerald waters like the spines of ancient dragons. But even paradise isn't immune to pressure. In recent years, uncontrolled tourism has strained the bay's fragile ecosystem. Oil slicks, coral damage, and plastic waste from hundreds of daily cruise ships. That's why new eco-cruise initiatives have launched, like the one I'm on now. This boat runs on solar power. We collect our own waste. Meals are made from locally sourced ingredients, and the guides are trained in marine conservation. Some tours now include restoration activities, not just relaxation. You're not just a guest here. You're a caretaker. In the Central Highlands, nature takes on a different flavor, wilder, darker, deeper. These forested plateaus are home to Vietnam's coffee heartland, ancient elephant trails, and waterfalls that roar like thunder after the monsoon. But behind the beauty lies a risk: illegal logging, monoculture farming, and loss of native species. Local NGOs have stepped in, promoting eco-agrotourism. They're helping coffee farms grow organically and training guides from indigenous communities to lead forest walks. Tourists don't just drink coffee now, he says, they understand the forest behind it. At the opposite end of Vietnam lies the mighty Mekong, the river of 9 dragons. It feeds millions and breathes life into endless wetlands, rice paddies, and floating villages. Climate change and pollution have put the Mekong under threat. But sustainable tourism has begun to offer hope. Visitors now come not to consume, but to participate. They bike between villages, cook with hosts, and support wetland preservation projects, keeping the delta's biodiversity alive. From mountains kissed by clouds to deltas pulsing with life, Vietnam's landscapes are poetry written in earth and water. But they are not invincible, they need stewardship, and that includes you. In Vietnam, nature is not just something you see, it's something you touch, protect, and carry with you long after you've gone home. If the landscapes of Vietnam are its skin, then its culture is the soul, ancient, layered, and alive. From spiritual rituals in misty mountains to the clang of chopsticks in alleyway kitchens, culture here isn't put on for display, it's lived. I'm here in Hue, the old imperial capital. Once home to Vietnam's Nguyen emperors, it still echoes with the past through its crumbling citadels, quiet pagodas, and centuries-old traditions. But these echoes are fragile. With mass tourism, the line between cultural appreciation and cultural exploitation can blur quickly. There was a time when cultural landmarks became just another selfie stop, sacred spaces turned into background noise. Art became souvenir, and ritual became performance. But across Vietnam, a movement is growing, one that prioritizes cultural respect just as much as environmental responsibility. In Hanoi's Old Quarter, I met Master Tao, one of the last remaining traditional calligraphers in the city. Writing is a prayer. Each stroke carries intention. I teach tourists not to write like machines, but to feel each word. Instead of selling scrolls in bulk to passing visitors, Master Tao runs intimate workshops where travelers learn the philosophy behind the craft. They don't just take home ink on paper, they take home meaning. In Hoi An, known for its dreamy lantern-lit nights, many shops now invite visitors to make their own lanterns using traditional materials. Guided by artisans who've practiced the skill for generations. My mother made lanterns. I learned from her. Now I teach my daughter. And I teach travelers too. That's how the art lives. These cultural exchanges don't dilute heritage, they protect it. And travelers? They don't just consume, they connect. Outside the cities, deeper stories unfold. In a small village in Bac Ninh, I arrived just in time for a local festival honoring ancestral spirits through music, offerings, and dance. These festivals are often missed by tourists, or worse, commercialized beyond recognition in more visited areas. But here, guests are welcomed as observers, not spectacles. We're encouraged to ask, learn, and honor, not perform or interrupt. We don't put on a show. We just do what we've always done. If you want to understand us, come with respect. Not with a camera only. Respect, that's the key word. Whether you're entering a temple, joining a meal, or learning a dance, sustainable travel in Vietnam begins with cultural humility. Culture in Vietnam doesn't just live in rituals and ruins, it lives in food. Every bowl of pho tells a regional story, every herb has a purpose, every bite carries history, instead of just eating at tourist restaurants. I signed up for a cooking class with a farming family. We picked herbs from the garden, ground rice into noodles, and made dishes I'd never find on a city menu. We cook how our grandmothers taught us. No shortcuts. No chemicals. Just what the land gives us. These experiences are spreading, and they help bridge gaps. You leave not just with a full belly, but with gratitude and understanding. Tourism can often threaten traditional crafts, turning them into mass-produced replicas, but in Vietnam, new partnerships are changing that. NGOs and artisan cooperatives are helping ethnic minority groups like the Tay, Hmong, and Cham sell directly to travelers, teach workshops, and preserve their heritage. I'll admit, I was clumsy with the needle, but the experience was unforgettable. Sitting beside a craftswoman, hearing her story, I saw how every stitch was a memory, a message, a legacy. If you wear this scarf, you wear our story. Buying directly from these makers doesn't just support them economically, it tells them, your story matters. Vietnam's cultural heritage isn't something behind museum glass, it's lived, breathed, sung, cooked, and shared every single day. Sustainable tourism here means slowing down, staying longer, listening deeper, and participating with care. Whether it's a temple chant, a bowl of hot noodles, or a dance passed down through generations, Vietnam invites you to be more than a tourist, it invites you to be a guest in its living story. Sustainable tourism isn't just about policies or green certifications, it's about people, local residents, communities, travelers, all coming together to protect the places they love. And across Vietnam, these people are creating quiet revolutions. In the misty valleys of northern Vietnam, traditional village homes have opened their doors to the world, not as luxury resorts, but as living, breathing cultural experiences. These homestays are more than accommodation. They are a way for visitors to become part of village life, cooking meals, learning about local customs, helping with harvests, or simply listening to stories over evening tea. Everything here is sustainable by nature. The buildings are made from local materials. The meals come from backyard gardens, and the income goes directly to the families hosting the guests. Travelers don't just witness a culture, they share in its rhythm. Vietnam's stunning coastline has attracted millions of visitors, but with them came pollution, plastic, and environmental strain. In response, coastal communities have begun grassroots efforts to reclaim their beaches. Every weekend, locals organize cleanup drives. Schools run workshops on marine life conservation. Small businesses encourage travelers to bring reusable bottles, bags, and containers. A new kind of tourism is emerging, one where travelers contribute more than they consume and leave a place cleaner than they found it. Some hotels now offer discounts to guests who reduce their waste. Tour guides include short beach cleanups in their itineraries, not as chores, but as meaningful rituals. It's a reminder that preserving beauty is a shared responsibility. In towns and cities where tourism once meant crowded buses and rushed sightseeing, a slower, more mindful alternative is taking root. Some travel companies now focus on slow journeys, using bicycles or electric vehicles, staying with local families, and taking time to understand the land and its people. These tours often support small producers, artisans, and farmers directly, bypassing middlemen and giving a real economic boost to the communities visited. Travelers are encouraged to participate, planting trees, preparing meals, making traditional crafts, or helping in community gardens. This approach transforms the tourist from an outsider to an ally. Souvenirs are more than keepsakes. They carry stories, cultures, and livelihoods. In many parts of Vietnam, artisans have formed cooperatives to ensure their crafts are sold ethically. These community-run markets offer handmade goods, scarves, ceramics, embroidery, all crafted using traditional techniques passed down for generations. Instead of buying mass-produced items, visitors can now support craftspeople directly, helping preserve endangered art forms and supporting local education, especially for women and youth. Fair trade practices are emphasized, pricing is transparent, and profits stay within the community. Buying a handmade item becomes an act of solidarity, not just shopping. Trekking is one of the most powerful ways to experience Vietnam's diverse landscapes, but it also carries risks for the environment and local communities. To combat over-tourism and disrespectful behavior, some regions have introduced responsible trekking guidelines. These emphasize smaller groups, trained local guides, and deep cultural respect. Visitors are taught how to walk lightly, to minimize noise, avoid litter, and engage with elders and children respectfully. Overnight stays in mountain villages are arranged in collaboration with families, ensuring fair payment and mutual understanding. This form of travel doesn't just reduce impact, it builds bridges between worlds. These efforts may seem small on their own, a homestay in a village, a workshop on waste, a bike ride instead of a bus tour, but together, they form a powerful shift where tourism becomes a tool for regeneration, not exploitation. The people of Vietnam are not waiting for top-down change, they are creating it, one act of care, one ethical choice, one sustainable step at a time. As travelers, we are invited not just to witness this transformation, but to join it. Travel, at its best, is transformative, not just for the traveler, but for the places visited. In Vietnam, sustainable tourism is not a buzzword. It is a movement, one that quietly asks, what kind of traveler do you want to be? From the mountain villages of the north to the mangrove deltas in the south, one thing becomes clear: Vietnam is not simply a destination to be consumed. It is a living culture, a fragile ecosystem, and a home for millions. Every choice made along the way, where to sleep, what to eat, how to move, shapes that home. And in choosing responsibly, travelers become more than observers, they become contributors to something meaningful. Sustainable tourism isn't about doing without. It's about doing with intention. A small group staying in a local homestay sustains a family's income, a tourist buying a handmade bag supports an ancient craft, a refillable bottle avoids dozens of single-use plastics, a respectful photo shared online tells a story the world needs to hear. These ripples of conscious action spread far beyond the trip itself. They protect traditions, they preserve forests. They empower communities to control their own stories. In Vietnam, these stories are being rewritten with every traveler who chooses awareness over excess. Old tourism was about ticking boxes, collecting images, and rushing from place to place. The new tourism is slower, deeper, and more connected. It's not about seeing everything. It's about feeling something. Moments like watching mist rise over a valley, joining a community meal, or hearing folk music under a full moon. These aren't staged, they are real, and they remind us of our shared humanity. Travel becomes a way to belong, not intrude. With the gift of travel comes the weight of responsibility, and that responsibility is growing. Climate change, cultural erosion, and overcrowding are very real threats. But they can be met not with fear, but with care. Sustainable travel is not a sacrifice, it isn't. Sustainable tourism isn't about doing without, it's about doing with intention. A small group staying in a local homestay sustains a family's income, a tourist buying a handmade bag supports an ancient craft, a refillable bottle avoids dozens of single-use plastics, a respectful photo shared online tells a story the world needs to hear. These ripples of conscious action spread far beyond the trip itself. They protect traditions. They preserve forests, they empower communities to control their own stories. In Vietnam, these stories are being rewritten with every traveler who chooses awareness over excess. Old tourism was about ticking boxes, collecting images, and rushing from place to place. The new tourism is slower, deeper, and more connected. It's not about seeing everything. It's about feeling something. Moments like watching mist rise over a valley, joining a community meal, or hearing folk music under a full moon. These aren't staged, they are real, and they remind us of our shared humanity. Travel becomes a way to belong, not intrude. With the gift of travel comes the weight of responsibility, and that responsibility is growing. Climate change, cultural erosion, and overcrowding are very real threats. But they can be met not with fear, but with care. Sustainable travel is not a sacrifice, it is an upgrade, an evolution in how we see the world and our place in it. Travelers hold power, the power to choose thoughtfully, act gently, and leave a place better than they found it. Vietnam is showing the world what's possible, that beauty and responsibility can walk hand in hand, that tourism can heal rather than harm, that stories can be shared without being taken. It's not perfect. And it doesn't need to be. What matters is the direction forward, mindfully, and together. So the next time the world calls you to travel, pause and ask yourself, what will I give back? The answer might just change everything for you, and for the world you touch. Travel lightly. Travel kindly. Travel with purpose. Ron Pushpin Vietnam welcomes you not just as a guest, but as a guardian of its future.
If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe.